Welcome to Small Business Big Visibility. We're in a mini series talking about websites. Today we're talking specifically about service pages on your website. How many service pages do you need? Do you need more than what goes on the homepage? Do you need a dedicated service page? Do you need more pages, one for each service? How do you break that down? Which services do you include? Which ones do you exclude from your site? Those are some of the things that we're going to dive into and discuss so that you've got a better idea of what you should be doing with your sites so your business can be more profitable. Let's talk for just a moment about your business specifically. Think about your company. Within your company, do you provide more than one service? Many businesses do. They may have one category they work within. They may be a plumber, they may be an electrician, they may be a roofer. But within that, they usually have more than one service that they provide to people. Now, it's a mistake for a business owner to think, well, everybody knows what a roofer does. I don't need to talk about it. That's a mistake, because if you're not talking about it, no one else is going to be associating your business with that service. That's why it's critical that you talk about these things on your website. A couple of things that matter is, when we touched on them just lightly, on your home page of your website, you should have a bit of a summary of the services you're providing. Oftentimes, as a business owner, you also want to include a dedicated page that goes over all of the key services that you do provide. Now, we have a couple of different videos, one that talks about all the content that should be on a homepage, and then we also have another video that talks about some of the key pages you need to have on your site. If you haven't watched those, I'd invite you to take a quick peek at those, because they give you some good insights on the services section that should be on the homepage, as well as what should go on the services page of a site. Today we're talking specifically, though, about how expansive do you want to be. I knew a plumber, and he was talking about all the parts that he offered, and he was thinking that he needed to go into his website and talk about every single part. That is way overkill. Very rare that you want to get down to anywhere near that level of detail, unless you're selling each one of those parts on your site. But he wasn't. It was just that he was a plumber, and he was trying to figure out, where do I sit on that spectrum of not talk about it to talk about it. Now, think for a moment about your customers. When they call in, do they call and ask for a specific part, or do they call and ask for a specific service? When they do call and ask for that specific service or that specific product, what are the words that they're using? Those are the kinds of things that you want to start thinking about, so that you can put your services or your products into these different categories, and then from that you can figure out which pages you actually want to build out on your site. There's not a perfect answer to how many service pages you do or don't build. Again, if you're just starting out, sometimes it's enough to just have the one-page site if that's all you can do. Highly recommend you have the service page. If you want to do better in the search engines, and also if you want to, I think, do better with AI, you most likely want to be a little bit more expansive and talk about some of your services as individual pages. Here's one thing to keep in mind. The more pages you build that are good quality content, that's key. The more pages you build that are good quality content talking about those services, the higher the probability is that you're going to have enough content that you will be showing up in the search engines, unless you take it to the absolute extreme. I was mapping out a website once, and they were talking about tables, and they're like, well, we have this size table, should we have a page for that, and then another page for a different size table, and a different page for a different size table. And in that situation, we were getting so granular that they were probably going to start losing their benefit. If you were a customer, you're probably not hoping to land on a page for this one size of table. You were just hoping, is there a company around here that sells those tables? Oh, great. And then once you're on that page, there would just need to be a small section that mentions the different sizes available. That would be a more intelligent approach. As you're thinking about how many pages to build, always keep the customer in mind. Think about it from their perspective. If they landed on a site, what would their mindset be? What would they be expecting? What would they be hoping to see in order to move them from a potential customer to an actual customer? Now, these individual service pages can actually also do a double benefit for you. If you're running ads on social media or maybe search engine ads or some other kind of ad, you oftentimes don't want to drop someone just on the home page of your site. Instead, if you have some really good quality service pages, you may want to drop them specifically on that service page, because if, let's say your ad's talking about water heater replacement, they click on that ad and they land on the home page, that could be good to give general information about the plumber. But instead, if they landed on a water heater replacement page, and that page shows the entire process of what it's like to get the water heater replaced, gives testimonials of people who have had their water heater replaced, showed some before and after photos of the water heater being replaced, how much more impactful would that be for the customer? I would say you'd probably have a much higher probability that someone would want to do business with you when you have a very specific page like that. This means that those individual service pages can help you with search engine optimization, they can help with the customer journey, but then they can also be used as landing pages for ads. Something else to consider is how much content do you put on one of those pages? The answer to that is you want to use just enough content to help move the customer from potential customer to wanting to do business with you. There's also kind of a minimum. You probably don't want 100 words on the page. That's probably not enough to really do that job. You want to have it expansive enough that it really is something that a person could sink their teeth into, but you also don't want it so heavy with content that it feels like it's a scrolling forever type of a page. You want to break it out with a good layout. You could use videos, images, headings, lists, different design elements on that page, so that it breaks it up and makes it easy for them to flow through that process. While there's not a set number of words that you want to have or a set amount of content on there, again, think about it from your customer's perspective. What is it they're going to want to see? What would help them move them forward on that buying journey? And then put that amount of content on there, but don't stuff it full of other content thinking that it's going to help you rank better. Really want to be customer focused first, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you show up in the search engines or don't show up in the search engines. If your website's not helping move your customer from potential to doing business with you, then you're probably just wasting your time and your effort.